The biggest issue I see in men when it comes to dating, meeting new people, approaching women is confidence. And today we're going to dive deep into what that actually means and how to build it in your day to day life with practical steps you can take immediately. So, with that, I'm your host, Gore, and welcome to the Becoming Podcast. In the last episode, we touched a little bit on epiphanies and how you don't really know what you don't know, and that these epiphanies come in exactly those moments. A couple of years ago, I was having a conversation with one of my friends, and I asked her about confidence. We started talking about the subject, and we got into a little role play. And during the conversation, she said, "You're really cute." And my response to that was, "You're not bad." Little did I know that moment was going to be an epiphany for me, because what she said after that changed my entire view on what confidence really looks like. And that was when I started really looking into it to understand it better. What she said was, if I was a guy and a girl told me, "You look cute," my response would be, "You look freaking gorgeous." And I thought to myself, why is it that we hold back so much? And I realized that in reality, the reason we hold back so much is because we're insecure. We were out one night with a couple of my clients, and one of them was dancing with a girl, and the girl was really into him. I could tell she wanted to escalate the situation further, but he was a little shy to touch and kiss. It dragged on for so long that she was actually trying to kiss him. And what he did kind of shocked me, but I wasn't too surprised because it is common. He, he backed away from her leaning in to kiss him. And when I talked to him later on, his rationale was that he didn't want to seem too needy or insecure, whereas in reality, that was insecure. Because right after we had that conversation, he was excited that the girl liked him, and he tried to get back and get into that interaction where she had already moved on to another guy. And to no surprise, she and that guy were making out shortly into that conversation because she already had that intention. So that went to prove my point that the example where I had responded, "You're not bad," to my friend, it was out of that insecurity to look needy. Whereas in reality, I should have been like, "You are freaking gorgeous. Absolutely, you're gorgeous." And in this case with my client, he shouldn't have shied away from that sexual tension. He should have embraced it and walked into it and allowed it to happen and take place because the girl was clearly into him and the girl was clearly wanting to move it forward. So that experience turned out to be a forever learning lesson of what confidently embracing that tension really looks like. So, what is confidence actually? Have you ever seen somebody who acts very confidently, but at the same time is very self conscious? They're aware that they're confident, like they're faking it. The thing is, you cannot have confidence and self consciousness in the same realm. You cannot be confident and aware of your confidence at the same time. A confident person does not know he is confident. He just acts and he just is. Because if we think back to that original example with the, "Yeah, you're not bad," and the, "You're freaking gorgeous" situation, you can come off very needy saying the same exact thing, and you can come off very confident saying the same exact thing. Because it's not a matter of the line you're saying, it's a matter of how you feel about yourself. And that comes off in your body language, in your tonality, in the way you approach, in the way you carry yourself. So I could have been like, "You're so hot, you're freaking gorgeous," and come off very needy, as opposed to, "Absolutely, like you're freaking gorgeous. I love that." So confidence doesn't really come from having the best lines or getting the most attention. It comes from self-acceptance. If you take nothing else from this podcast, I want you to, at the very least, understand the definition of confidence. Confidence is not everybody will like me. Confidence is I'll be fine if they don't. And so shifting your mindset from being reliant on the external to self-validating and self-assured brings out that sense of comfort in yourself. And that sense of comfort reflects in every single thing you do, from the way you drink water to the way you even breathe to the way you talk to people. People can tell that you're comfortable in your own skin, and that is where your confidence shows. Remember, confidence is not everybody will like me. Confidence is I'll be fine if they don't. So I want to give you guys 3 simple tips that you can start implementing right now to start building your way up to that higher level of confidence. And you're not going to like the last one. But I'm going to tell you because for whoever is brave enough to do it, it will skyrocket their level of confidence. It is literally the key to social freedom. So the first tip I'm going to give you in terms of getting started on your path to building higher levels of confidence is schedule time for play. The reason this is super important is because we're not meant to be sitting at a desk the entire day for 12 hours straight, just working. Not only is it bad for our posture and our physical health, but it's also bad for our mental health. You can look into this and do your research of how beneficial physical movement and exercise actually is in so many ways and from so many different angles. From the fact that your muscles themselves secrete chemicals that boost your mood from exercise to the studies that prove how ex to the studies that show how exercise has been proven to be the highest and most efficient level of an antidepressant, way above any effect a drug can have. So I'm not going to get into that. And also, exercise, working out itself isn't the only form of play. It just needs to be some form of movement. It could literally be organizing your house, running errands outside your house under sunlight. It could be a morning walk, which this is also huge for your circadian rhythm, for your mood as well, and for your testosterone levels as a man, and your adrenals. It benefits so many things. There are episodes on the Huberman Lab podcast that really dive into this that you should check out and listen to, that I personally love. But morning walks and sunlight does a lot for your health, for your mood, and for your state of mind. So having these habits and scheduling time for getting away from your office, getting away from your desk, and having some playtime really benefits your state of mind, and it gets you onto this momentum for the rest of your day to be in a good mood and have positive self-talk, because all these things are huge. So to simplify, there's this thing called a joy alarm, which means that you set an alarm every day on your phone, and every time it rings, you burst into some form of celebration. It could be dance, it could be singing, it could be anything that boosts your self-expression, that boosts your mood. And it's very impactful because once your physiology tells your mind that we are celebrating, that your mind starts to look for things to celebrate. Your mind thinks, oh, we're celebrating. That means there's something to celebrate. Let me look for more positive things that to rationalize this physiology. Both of them go back and forth in communication. Your physiology affects your state of mind and your self-talk. Your self-talk affects your physiology. You'll notice if you have negative thoughts all the time, your body will be very slumped over and you'll be closed off, as opposed to even if you have the negative talk and you become aware of it, and you, let's say you still have that negative talk going on and you choose to willingly open up your body language, doing a power pose or just anything that opens up your physiology, you'll notice your mental state getting better as well. This even includes smiling for like 90 seconds straight, full on smile. And you can include that as part of the things you do when your joy alarm hits. Just a straight smile. Biggest smile you can think of. you can do. And just celebrate. Make time for play. This is super important in managing your state of mind and keeping your mood up. The second thing, when it comes to doing things that you face a lot of resistance towards, on the topic of men and dating, approaching women is a huge issue. This is where volume comes in. If you're able to overcome that resistance once, the second time is a little easier. The third time is a little easier than that. And the effect just compounds. A lot of times, like when I have boot camps or I have one-on-one clients, and they're giving me a lot of resistance in going up and introducing themselves, for example, I will have them do 50 straight on approaches to strangers. That could be just a compliment, that could be an actual approach and conversation, that could be just a high five. The second tip I'm going to give you is competence. Now, obviously, competence is a big part of confidence, and you'll hear this a lot, that you need some form of knowledge and experience to actually gain that confidence. It's not just a matter of being happy all the time. Now, being happy is a big part of it, but so is this. And so the way you gain competence is by doing it over and over and over again. On the topic of men and dating, when it comes to approaching women, men give it a lot of resistance because they don't feel confident, they feel some form of insecurity. But the more they're able to do it, the more they get into this, the more they get on a roll, and the easier it is to carry that momentum forward. And scientifically, we have a social muscle in our brain. The longer you talk to people, the more interactions you're in, the more that social muscle builds. And you'll realize if you put in 4 hours into being out and just making new friends for 4 hours straight, and I say 4 hours because I can guarantee you will feel a noticeable difference after that 4 hours. If you put in 4 hours into just meeting new people, making friends, talking to everybody, and socializing, your social muscle in your brain is going to be stressed. And I don't mean stressed in a bad way, I mean stressed in a way where it is stimulated to grow. And it does grow. You'll notice that if you have any friends in your circle that they have had big families growing up, or if you yourself have had a big circle growing up and you're always around people, you'll notice that these types of people are usually pretty witty and they have a good sense of humor because their social muscle has been stressed in group situations in order to keep up with the group dynamic, in order to be able to contribute to that group dynamic. And some of these people will still come to me for advice and coaching because they have spent their entire life just meeting friends and only friends of friends. That's how their circle has expanded. They have never approached somebody directly and out of nowhere. And so they want to be able to learn how to go for what they want in reality. But in this case, they're already at an advantage with being able to carry conversation, have witty and humorous responses. Whereas, like other people who grew up kind of isolated, didn't have a big family, didn't have a lot of friends, didn't really meet other friends through their friends, are starting from way below that. And but what I see most is that the person starting from a lower level oftentimes exceeds that person that starts at an advantage because that person that starts at an advantage typically relies on their circle, on their current level of comfort from having all these people around them to not really step out of their comfort zone. Whereas the person that's at a lower level in terms of the conversation aspect, not being very socialized, has a bigger chip on their shoulder and wants to get away from that level of pain a lot faster. Whereas the other person has comfort to rely on. And oftentimes we're motivated more by our pain than our actual inspiration. This is why people don't really change in life until they have some sort of traumatic experience. It's only the lucky few that become aware enough and in time to do something about it and seek inspiration and seek this vision that they have for themselves in order to use that to grow. There aren't many people like that. Most people wait for that traumatic experience, like a big breakup or a divorce, because only then is the pain great enough to do something about it. But the smart ones know that they're in reality saving themselves a lot of time, effort, and money to work on themselves early on so that they don't need to get into this whole relationship, marriage, miss the red flags, and divorce 10 years down the line, losing half their assets and losing all their money, and then doing something about it. And then choosing to build their empathy and emotional intelligence and learn to actually understand women. That's the difference between ambitious men with a vision to the average Joe. Now, the third thing I'm going to give you in terms of practical tips for confidence, and this is the one that most people will probably not like, but this is one of the biggest things you could do for yourself. It's one word: embarrassment. Now, what do I mean by that? There's this popular trend on the internet called the rejection challenge, where a person will go up to 100 people, for example, and ask them for something that they are likely to say no to. If you're brave enough, you can take this a step further and do things that you are likely to be made fun of, like doing jumping jacks in the middle of the bar, for example, or push-ups on the street. You will realize no one actually cares. The magic behind embarrassment is that it's not just about that exposure to embarrassment. What it actually does is diminish your ego, because our egos are made to protect our sense of identity. And so anything that feels like out of the norm is a threat to our survival. That is why you face so much resistance when it comes to doing something that people don't normally do, like push-ups on the street. But if you can challenge yourself and push yourself enough to do this for a little while, it won't happen on the first try. If you can do this for a little while, you will look back and really become aware of the level of social freedom you have gained from putting yourself in uncomfortable and embarrassing situations, or what we consider or think of as possibly embarrassing. Like public speaking, for example. Putting yourself in situations where the whole crowd's watching you, waiting for you to speak, and you could mess it up at any moment, but you do it anyway. And if you mess it up, even better. Doing this will callous your mind, as David Goggins likes to say. So if you're able to make time for play, if you're able to develop your competence in whatever you're trying to do in the form of knowledge and experience, and if you're able to push yourself and make room for embarrassing situations and rejection, in 2 months you will see a noticeable difference, and in a year you will be unrecognizable. And now here's the caveat to this situation. With all of this happening, self-acceptance is going to be your biggest friend and the biggest thing you need to develop during this process, because only self-acceptance is going to get you through it. But the good thing is, this is the perfect opportunity to build that self-acceptance. And what I mean by self-acceptance is feed the positive emotions in your life, such as gratitude, love, joy. And also, here's the key part that you need. You must also make room for the negative emotions. This isn't to say you should suppress them, you should get rid of them, you should find a way to be superhuman and not feel them, or numb them out, even worse. You have to feel them. They're human. They're very normal. The difference is you don't feed them, you don't entertain them. You make space for them and you accept them. And what you feed is the positivity, the positive self-talk, the positive emotions, the positive behaviors. So all of this must come with a certain level of self-acceptance that you can use this process to also grow on top of your confidence. And if you guys have questions about any of this, or in general you guys have questions, you can email me at gslifestyleco@gmail.com. That's gslifestyleco@gmail.com. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok at coach_gore, Gor, and I'll see you on the next episode. Until then, this is the Becoming Podcast. Peace.